Hi, I'm Larry Williams with the University of Florida Extension Office in Okaloosa County, and we're on a piece of property to look at some fruit plants and pruning. I'd like to take a little time to look at this muscadine, which is a vine. It's a grape. It's our native grape. Some people are not familiar with it, but it is native to the southeastern United States. And we're going to take some time to look at how to correctly prune the muscadine grapevine. You need some tools to do this, and this is a hand pruner. This is a must-have. You'll probably use this more than anything else on a grapevine in doing your pruning. Then you have loppers or lopping shears that this one gives you some extension for working with trees, but that's not necessary when you're working with the grapevine. This is done, you won't use this as much on a grapevine, but larger limbs on fruit trees, once you get into 1.5 to 2-inch size diameter limb, you need to switch to something that's a little bigger, such as lopper for pruning. And then, unless we were really pruning some old muscadine vines and you needed to totally cut out some old non-productive main trunks, you're probably not going to need pruning saw. And some fold. I like the folding types, but this is designed to cut through wood, and it's a good pruning saw. You can find different brands. This one's Corona, readily available at a lot of the box stores, places that sell garden supplies. There's one that's called Felco that is probably the standard, but you're going to pay a little more for the Felco brand and probably more than likely have to order it online. So let's take a look at this muscadine grapevine. In growing a muscadine grape, you have the main stalk or trunk, essentially, which you can see has some diameter on it. These have been here for a little bit, and you train two arms coming off of that main trunk going in one direction, in this case to the left, and one going to the right. The muscadine requires significant pruning annually, which usually is done while the plant is dormant. And we're in February now, but the pruning could have been done latter part of December, January, February, even into very early March, but it's best to prune probably more January, February if you can. So what I'm looking for is taking out almost all of last year's growth, all of these runners. And it's going to take a while. What I'm looking for are some of the main branches that come off of this arm that I want to keep, but it's so intertwined you have to kind of step back and look at where you're making your pruning cut. I don't know how well you can see it, but here is a shoot coming off of this main arm that we will keep. And so I'll go ahead and show you the basics on that because it's easy to get to. But some of this that's in the way, I'm not going to keep, so I'm just going to prune out for the sake of demonstration purposes. When I make that cut, it's got these little tendrils, and it wants to hold on to everything. And you can get whipped by these vines sometimes, so be careful. But if you see this main arm that's coming off the arm, this will be the shoot that produces fruit this year in the summer and fall of 2025. So I'm looking for buds here. There's one bud, there's another bud, and there's a third bud. You want to keep 3-4 buds. That's the fruiting arm that I would keep. Off of these buds, the growth that occurs in the spring is going to be your fruiting wood. That's where the grapes will come from. And the muscadine is not a bunch type grape. It is a native grape that's a little different from what some people are used to. The people that came into the southeast Florida area, some of the Europeans settling this area, were pleasantly surprised by our native muscadines. And there's been selections over the years to the tune now of probably 200-300 different cultivars or varieties from which to choose or select. So you kind of have to make your mind up on which ones you like. We can help you with that at the Extension office. We have a good publication on muscadines for Florida. So I pruned this out, but I'm not going to be able to pull this out yet, or maybe I can. But you just have, you can see where this is slow going. Once you know what you're doing in making your pruning cuts, you can get a little bit faster. But I want to continue to look for these shoots coming out of this main arm, and I have found a smaller one here that I would want to keep. And again, I'm looking for, there's 1 bud, 2 buds, 3 buds. I'm going to leave 3 buds, and you can continue to do that, but in the process, you're going to have to take some of this unwanted, vigorous shoots out as you go to clean it up. So we spent a little bit of time on this pretty February day doing some pruning on an older muscadine vine that probably hasn't been pruned in a couple of years. And what I did, you can see that we left this main arm coming off of the trunk. So one arm, it remains and continues in this direction, and along this arm, limb, we call it an arm, you leave these shoots, which are called fruiting spurs. And I intentionally left 2 to 4 buds, because at each bud, as spring growth occurs, this will grow rapidly and you'll get a shoot that comes out with leaves on it, and then eventually flowers. And then the flowers will develop into the fruit. And the fruit will be ready to harvest in the summer months. Usually you're looking at July, August, September. There are some of the late varieties of muscadines that may extend on into October, early November, but mostly July, August production. So these fruiting spurs are left intentionally along this arm, and ideally you want those spaced about 4 to 6 inches apart. We've got a little more distance here than what I would prefer between the fruiting spurs. So some of the growth there's buds here that may grow, and you intentionally let that happen, and that becomes next year's fruiting spur. So you can see all along this vine, the fruiting spurs or shoots that we left, and each of those have 2 to 4 buds where new growth will occur come spring. We're getting some bleeding, a little bit of water movement coming out of those cut stems. That's normal. People get upset about that, but it's normal. The grapevine will deal with that. It will seal over within hours, and it'll quit dripping. Over here, there's quite a bit of water or sap coming out, and that will continue. Don't let that upset you. That is normal. The pruning time would be no earlier than mid-December. I would prefer to wait till January, February, extending if you have to into early March, but it's best to get this kind of pruning done before the plant begins to leaf out. So we're basically talking about the ideal window of opportunity in the months of January and February, and preferably, before late February. And then you may, with all the pulling and pruning, you may have to attach some of these arms, and I'm going to do that very quickly. There's lots of materials you can use. You don't want to tie it too tight, but this is a Velcro, and I'm just simply going to, it's easy to use, to wrap it around the wire to better support it. And wasn't Velcro a wonderful invention? Voila. You could do it again here, but that may be enough. I hope you learned something with this demonstration on how to prune muscadines. We have lots of other information on pruning all kinds of fruit trees and on your lawns and plants, of all kinds that's appropriate for this part of Florida. So if you need to contact your local University of Florida Extension office, you can look us up in Okaloosa County, which is where I work. That phone number is 850-689-5850. That's 689-5850. We have Master Gardener volunteers that are trained and willing to help you with about any kind of gardening question you might have. Just let us know when you need some help.